Desiree Cocroft, your self-mastery architect and life and leadership coach and keynote speaker. And I'm so excited to be on the Prosperity podcast. I would love for you to see this podcast because it's going to help you get your life all the way together as it relates to who you are, who you need to be, and what you need to do. And so you don't want to miss it because this is the time for you to start shining.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we have a truly inspirational guest that's joining us. Now, Desiree, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Process. How are you?
Well, you can tell I'm a lot starstruck right now that I've met you. I'm even mincing my words. Who doesn't know how to say inspirational guest? All right. So for those that are watching right now, you might be wondering, why is Prosper fanboying? Well, I'll tell you something. Desiree is an energizing coach and consultant who's spent over 20 years helping leaders, women, and organizations create thriving, authentic cultures. She's also an award-winning author, an ICF certified PCC coach, and a sought-after speaker who's graced platforms like Forbes and TEDx. When she's not changing lives through her coaching, she's actually co-founding and changing the board of Signature Dance Company, and also mentoring young women in Milwaukee there. And I want you to get this. She even loves karaoke and once ran a half marathon on a whim. So, with a story like this and a resume this long, the person that you're going to be hearing from today is absolutely inspiring. Now, Desiree, it's a pleasure having you on the show today. Maybe you can start by sharing a little bit about your background and what actually led you to become a coach and consultant.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love sharing the story of what led me to become a coach because it really was when I was like 17 years old. I know I look 17, but I'm not. But when I was 17, my teacher came to me and said, "Hey, I think I have a really great job for you." And that job was to be a teen mentor for a nonprofit organization. And so I started actually teaching middle school, elementary school age students about self-esteem and self-image and how to make great decision making, how to have really strong relationships. And I did large group facilitation activities and small group activities and really mentored a small group on a regular basis. And I did that for about 2 years. And when I did that, I discovered that I really enjoyed helping people discover their highest potential. And I really enjoy speaking. And so that really led me down a pathway of various different career paths between career counseling, between advising, between doing financial literacy. I did so many different things, but I found that the through line truly was speaking and helping people find their fullest potential and helping others engage with their teams and their organizations really well. And so that's what I really stuck to over the years. And it led me down the path that I am now, doing a lot of keynotes, leadership speaking, and helping senior and executive leaders with their lives.
Absolutely. And congratulations for definitely landing on your feet. Now, if we could go back to this moment where you were 17 and the teacher sort of tapped you on the shoulder and said, it's your turn to lead now, would you look at it like a rite of passage that you were literally initiated into leadership?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that it was something that was a magical moment in my life because I was doing a whole bunch of things in high school that were leadership-ish already. And so I had already gotten the bug of leadership. I was class president. I played volleyball. I ran track. I did all the things. And so when I got the tap, it was almost that epiphany of, you're right, this is exactly what I need to be doing. It was the perfect position for someone like myself and a perfect place for me to get messy and to see how things would go when I decided to start a new idea about getting the group together and trying to see how it works. Like really being able to learn how human dynamics work at such a young age and working with students, small children. If you could teach a kid something like self-esteem and decision making and how to have healthy relationships and see them discover more about themselves, you can teach anybody because you have to break it down to such a level that they would understand it. And so I think it really gave me the tools that I needed to be simplistic in the way that I explain things and to also just be really good at having a variety in the way that I create experiences for people because students at that age need a lot more excitement, variety in the way that they experience learning. And so I've been able to take that into what I do with adult learners. And that has been very helpful to me too. So it was definitely like a rites of passage doing this with younger, students and being able to now, work with adults.
Absolutely. And I mean, congratulations on that because at 17, I don't think I even knew how to write my own name. And if you're now being called in to actually start leading and things of that nature, because at 17, you're not an adult yet and you're not a kid
Yeah.
either. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one of those ages where a lot of people are still in rebellion and things of that nature. So you must have
Yeah.
had very good role models that would have obviously led you to that point at that
Yeah.
young of an age.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of teachers, counselors, advisors that were really great examples. And I was in a lot of different programs that helped me to just refine the work that I did at that age. And I mean, I also was just a kid too. That's why I always think it's funny because I'm like, I was 17 teaching them things that I'm still learning about myself. But I was energized. I knew I was energized by teaching and being able to articulate things that would help people become their best selves. It was just something that sparked in me when I get the chance to see someone that is fulfilling their fullest potential or they're discovering more about themselves. I think I've always been like an empath. So I can really relate to how people feel in different moments. And so when I would see someone look sad or someone look like they didn't like being the last one picked, I can notice that about people and really wanting to help them get what they need so that they can see that it's just a isolated moment doesn't mean something about their whole person. And so I think those nuances have helped me just become better at what I do now, but it definitely started young. Like I remember being young. I don't know if you ever been bullied. Were you ever bullied as a kid?
Well, everybody goes through that phase, but yeah.
So I was bullied at one point, and I remember this pivotal moment. I think I was like 13, and it was that realization that something is going on with the bully, and that's why they're treating me like this. And I remember feeling like it's not me, it's them. And with that being said, it gave me the thought of, you know what? Sometimes when we are experiencing things with other people, it has a lot more to do with what they have going on than who we are. And sometimes we make the experiences with people that might seem like conflict or bullying or things of that nature about, oh, I must be a bad person or I don't know how to do things right or something's wrong with me. And then it's like, you know what? Something could also be wrong with that other person. And it gave me a lot of empathy for that person too. Like, I wonder what they have going on that has caused them to be like this toward me when I have done nothing to them. And so I think that that has been another pivotal part of my, childhood or growing up to help me want to see what is the root cause that's keeping people in a place of either anger or negative emotions or not being able to be their fullest, most positive self. And so all of that between that and then having the opportunity to actually pour into students have definitely helped me as I've, grown in life and leadership coaching and speaking.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, a lot of us go through stuff, and
Yeah,
you just look at an instance where some people end up doing really mean things just because somebody
yeah,
cut them in traffic. And you're just
Yeah.
thinking, had you just waited 2 3 seconds, that would have completely been a different story in and of itself. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're right, it's what that person already is bottling inside, and
Yeah.
that just now becomes that little straw that breaks the
Yeah.
camel's back, the back. But
Yeah.
Desiree, this is very profound for somebody who's 17. I'm just really trying to speak for everyone here. You know, a lot of 17-year-olds are just really trying to, yeah, experiment either with drugs, alcohol, life, and everything else that comes along with it. But it doesn't seem like this was your upbringing.
Yeah, that just wasn't the way I flowed. There were definitely people doing that, but I found myself really surrounded more so with people that were like me, that they may not have had the same type of job that I had, but they were doing a lot of things that were positive and moving forward. And like just really high achievement. Honestly, I was hanging around a lot of people that were involved in things in school, or if they weren't, they were doing things outside of school that were either academic, or they were doing things that were just positive in the community. And so I always surrounded myself with people like that. That those were always my go-to people. Like that was my community. Those are the people that I connected with most. And honestly, what's funny about that, like that would be my community, but there will always be people that were not in that wheelhouse that would be drawn to me because of the positive energy that I had, and because of that, light, that go getter spirit, whatever, that people would see on me. So they would be drawn to me. So if they were, doing some of those things that you spoke of, they would be drawn to me. And so, I found myself, even at that age, advising or counseling people that were in those spaces as well. And so, with that being said, like even though they weren't necessarily a part of always my inner circle, it was always a thing that they would come to me later, like, "Hey, how do you do this?" or "How do you get this done?" or what can you do to help me with this? And that would even be as a young kid. And so, like even in adulthood, it has continued to happen. People are typically drawn to me, my energy, and the way that I move through life, to just see how that they can tap into that same type of energy.
Absolutely. So for a lot of people, I mean, I think they say, like you were telling me earlier on, that you travel a lot, and
Yeah,
you've probably been in that charade that the air hostesses play, that put your on mask first and then the whole stuff. But I think there's a profound lesson in that, in as much as if you are the constant giver and you're constantly helping others, sending the
yeah.
elevator down for other people, how did you then replenish it back for yourself in order to have something to give the next day?
Yeah, definitely now, because I travel so much and I'm giving a lot all the time. I have to be very mindful of the energy that I give outside of being on stages. And so I have a lot of really great boundaries. I have boundaries around the type of people that are in my spaces, how long I spend with anybody that I feel like is draining my energy, whether it's intentional or whether it is non-intentional. I get to choose how long I'm in spaces that drain my energy, because I am often in a space where I have to give a lot of energy. And so because I need to, restore that energy, I have to, make conversations a little shorter sometimes, or make sure the people that are around me are people that are giving me space to let go and need to be poured into. And so I'm mindful of conversations that I'm having with people, who I'm having them with, and who I'm actually in physical space with when I'm outside of those workplaces. And I encourage the people that I coach and speak to do the same, because I think unconsciously we just allow things to happen, and then later on we feel the impact of it. But I believe in being very intentional about how we're spending time with people and the people that we're spending time with, because there can be a factor of how we get sucked into the energy in the space. When we're intentional about it, we can be conscious of how long we're actually in those spaces. So I definitely do that. And I am a very clean eater. People don't always talk about nutrition and things like that, but that is a big way of how I maintain the energy that I have is being a clean eater. And then lastly, like my mindset space. So I have a very specific way that I like to spend my time in terms of taking in information, whether it's podcasts, reading, and being able to articulate what's going on in my own mind through journaling and meditating and all of that and prayer. Like I do a lot of that work throughout the day to help me also maintain that balance and that wellness.
Absolutely. You mentioned, obviously, like you said, off topic, but clean eating, I wash my fruit and veg every time before I eat them, and I also wash my hands.
Yeah.
Am I doing it right?
Yeah, I hope so. At least you're washing your hands and your vegetables and fruit and all of that. You are definitely doing that's good. That's one really great part. I love that. I love that that you have that going on. Uh, but I also am talking about, I like to make sure I know what I'm eating. And so whole foods, I'm trying my best to stay away from processed food as much as possible. It's hard on the road too, honestly. Like there's so many things to pick up and eat that, it's just that on the run food, but I definitely wash my hands and I wash my fruit and I make sure I eat it while I'm traveling. Oh, but you made me think of another thing. I actually enjoy making sure that I take a lot of walks. I do a lot of different physical activity too, because I think we don't count that. I think sometimes we're like, oh, if I didn't go to the gym or if I didn't lift weights, I didn't do something. But honestly, if you don't get the opportunity to do those things, taking a walk or being outside in nature, like don't discount those things, those other active things that you could be doing, because that's a great stress reliever too when you're working so much.
Absolutely. See, the reason why I had to ask about all this energy and all this clean eating is because you're known for your energetic speaking style
Yeah,
and very impactful sessions. So I was just wondering, if I just cleaned my fruit and
that's,
cleaned my hands, and
that's a
maybe
start.
I'd have the same thing.
It's possible. That's a start. You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. And you also have 1 hour power sessions that you hold with people that are renowned for their unique value, and they're effective for leaders and entrepreneurs. Can you just maybe walk us through what happens in these sessions?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do it often, and it's really exciting because I get to work with a variety of people. I tend to work with people that are in senior leadership roles while also looking to have more passionate personal lives. So I enjoy doing that. And then I'm also working with people that are entrepreneurs that are looking to grow their businesses or be more courageous in the way that they speak about their businesses. And then I have those people that are working full time and they want to do entrepreneurship as well. So I get a segment of each of those three different people. And a lot of times my sessions are still the same, which is so interesting. You get different people, they have different problems, but they usually have the same issue. And most of them come because they don't feel confident. That's usually what people say when I have my little form for people to fill out. They're like, I want to feel more confident, right? And so let's talk about that. And so a lot of times in my sessions, I'll help people with a tool that I've talked about a lot with my current clients and my audience and all of that. It's called The Lie, the Truth, and the Proof. And I talk about that in my book, Get Your Life Today, as well. And so in The Lie, the Truth, and the Proof, I ask people what's the lie that they're telling themselves? What's the lie that you're telling yourself as it relates to whatever they got on this call for? What's the lie? What's the thing that's been going on in your mind that you've been saying to yourself and you know that this is the lie that's keeping you from actually doing the thing you say you want to do? And then I ask them, well, if that's a lie and you know that's a lie, then what's the truth? Because once we know the truth, we can't unsee it and we can consciously say what is really going on. And we're actually helping our brain to see the difference between what is thinking and what's reality. Because are thinking something and we're making it reality, but it's not truly reality. The truth is what reality is. And so once I had them say what the truth is, then I asked them to find a piece of proof. How do you know that's true? And so sometimes that's connected to their spiritual belief. Sometimes that's connected to something that they've actually done. And sometimes it's connected to something that they've seen someone else do. And so, whatever it is, they need that to really ground themselves in the truth because their mind will say, well, how do you know that's true? Like, this is what you've been saying. But honestly, we get what we focus on. Our mind is always searching for the thing that we keep saying. And the thing that we believe we keep seeing is only a result of what we keep thinking. And so, the more that we can start changing and helping our mind see that what we've been thinking is an error, even if we've seen it happen, it doesn't mean that it's the only truth that exists. It's a lie because we made it as if it's the only thing that can ever happen. And it's not true that it's the only thing that can ever happen. It's the only thing we've been seeing because that's the only thing we've been meditating on. And so I spend a lot of time with that because once they have that, then we work on, okay, what are some new affirmations and thoughts that we can start circling in? And then I like to connect affirmations with actions. And a lot of people don't always do that. They're like, oh, say these affirmations, and you'll magically all of a sudden be this different person, which is totally not true. Action has to go with thoughts, but thoughts lead action. And so it's really important for us to consider what those thoughts are. So I have them create these statements to help them connect with new thoughts. But I also encourage them, like, what's the small action you can connect with each new thought that you're creating? Because that's going to help your brain know that it's a real thing. And so that's some of the work that we do, but I typically use that a lot. And I'm also a positive intelligence coach. And positive intelligence is about really leaning into your positive emotions, making decisions from that place of positive emotions versus negative emotions. And with negative emotions that we typically make decisions grounded in are fear, guilt, shame. We make decisions from that space, and it causes us to do things with this tendency to people please or to be controlling or to be this hyperachiever that has to get things done because I'm looking for validation in other places. And so there are different tendencies that we tend to pull from when we're grounded in negative emotion. And so just helping people see what they're doing in their everyday life that's really grounded from a place of fear and has them really using that to drive them. And that's why they're not satisfied with where they are, or that's why they're being held back from where they, and just really helping them see, like, how can they be driven by curiosity, by joy, by the things that are more from positive emotion spaces so that they can have better results in the things that they say that they want to do. And it does help them, like, drive their confidence level up when they see that it's really a self-sabotaging tendency that's keeping them from moving forward. So that's some of the things that we do. And really, depending on who I'm talking to, we'll strategize about their next steps and all of that. And some of their next steps, after we do that, it's a lot easier to do because we've gotten through the mud of some of those things. So it helps them just get really clear about saying what they desire, because that's something that we don't do as often, is actually say what we desire. We say what we think is possible, but we don't say what we exactly desire to see that could be possible. We say the things that we think is reality. And I talk to my clients a lot about, when you're talking to a kid or a small child, you allow them to see the possibilities differently than when you're talking to yourself, right? So we don't give ourselves that same permission to dream and to see what we actually want to happen, because we are riveted with all of our experiences of, what reality has taught us that, oh, maybe you're too aged to do that, or you should have did that a long time ago, or you don't have what it takes to do that. That's for someone else. And so really helping people see that is a lot easier once we've done some of that mindset work. So usually I'm able to get that done in 60 minutes. It depends.
Wow. I mean, obviously we could have just let the tape roll, and that
Yeah.
would have been 60 minutes right there, Absolutely. No, Desiree, this is quite interesting because You would understand there's fish do not see the water that they swim in, and neither can we see the air that we breathe. And when you expose, or not exactly, I don't know if that's the right word, but if you bring to light certain things that people don't assume is possible for them, like
Yeah.
you say, they can't unsee it. So many people um just wandering about because nobody has told them that you too can be doing have a happier existence. And I think that in and of itself is, a big problem for a lot of people, because nobody has been there. Like, you had your teacher tap you on the shoulder and say it's your turn to lead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that having someone help you give yourself permission is really important. And so, like, my teacher was that person that helped me give myself permission to see that that was something that was my genius zone. I was already operating in it, but didn't really know that there was something else that existed for me to really tap into it at a higher level. And so, yeah, I love being that person that could help them see that I can give myself permission to believe bigger than what I've been seeing, to do more than I've been doing, and to have more than I've been having. And so, some of the biggest things that people desire to conquer is doing something that they've never done before. But you can't do something you've never done before when you don't believe that you are the person that can be the person to do those things. And so, spending time with people about their being. So, I was sharing with you earlier. I just got back from Mexico, and I was doing a retreat with a small group of some leaders and then some entrepreneurs. And so when I was working with them, we spent a lot of time in our being. And what I think is fascinating is that sometimes we think when we have reached a certain level of success that we won't deal with these things anymore. But I've worked with so many different types of people. It has even been helpful to me when I've worked with clients to see no matter what level of air quotes success you choose, because success is a definition that we create, right? So no matter what level of success you're at that you've created, when you're looking to reach your next level, you're still going to deal with the same thing, right? It's always going to be this, ooh, I don't know if I'm ready for the thing. And it's natural. And I think the more that we can recognize that something new or change is always going to strike our minds and our bodies in a way that keeps us from moving forward initially, then we can know that this is just a part of what happens when change is present, because we're getting ourselves out of our comfort zone. And so I'm saying that to say, when I was working with them, a lot of it was like, hey, who do you need to be now? Whoever you were being before got you where you are. Whoever you need to be now is going to get you to the next place. So we spent a lot of time about what do you need to be. And so when you think about who you need to be, a lot that comes up is characteristics and qualities that you know you need to start embodying. About, okay, well, now that I know I need to be that, what are those small changes, right? What are those small changes that I need to make in my everyday life so I can prove to my mind that I am that person? Versus when we're not doing the things that are aligned with that person, it tells our mind that that's not who we are. But we got to prove our minds wrong with our actions. But we first have to believe that we are that person before we even start doing the actions. The actions just help remind our brain that that's who we are. But we have to tell our brain, this is who I am, even if we haven't fully stepped into the thing. So I've been sharing the story about me going vegan. So you're talking about clean eating, right? So washing your food, right? So I I decided. So I have been like a pescatarian, someone that does fish and seafood for probably like 7 or 8 years. And earlier last year, like toward the end of last year, I was saying I'm 90% vegan. So I would start telling people that. I was like, yeah, I'm like 90% vegan. I eat clean food. I don't eat meat, whatever. And so one day this year, I decided, you know what? I'm all the way vegan. I'm just eating plant-based. This is what I'm doing. But it was such an easy transition for me because I started just saying that. Even though I wasn't doing it all the way, I just started telling people. I just started telling people, like, yeah, this is how I eat. I'm plant-based. I'm vegan. I don't eat fish or dairy anymore. This is the straight and narrow I'm going on. And then I would start having conversations like I was that person. And then I started doing things like I was that person. But I started off starting a rumor. And I talk about that in my book too, that sometimes you just got to start a rumor about who you want to be, right? Who you desire to be. Start a rumor about it. Like just start a rumor. It doesn't matter. It's a good rumor anyway. It doesn't matter how much you're in it because the thing is, we tend to, when we're saying we want to do something and we haven't started doing the thing yet, we start feeling like an imposter. We start feeling like a hypocrite because we haven't all the way did it. But the fact remains that if you say it enough, you're going to start doing it at some point. But if you stop saying it and you're like, well, I'm not really doing it, I'm kind of not that, you're more likely not going to start doing the action. It's actually better off that you start air quotes what people think is lying to themselves. I think it's just setting yourself up for who you need to be, especially when you have the intention to do it. And so I don't fault people when they're like, yeah, I'm rich and they look broke, like, but it's like, but you know what? They got to start somewhere because it starts up here. Like when you started here, that's when you start transforming your mind because it's going to start looking for rich things. It's going to start looking for wealthy things. And so we spend a lot of time doing that work of being. When people start dipping into the doing, like one of my clients, and tell me when to stop because I can go on a roll, right? So like, but one of my clients, she was getting into the doing. She was like, Desiree, I want to start doing this, new thing, and I'm trying to figure out what box to check, basically. So she wanted like a checklist, right? Like these are the boxes that I want to check. And I was like, hey, honestly, you doing those things are not going to help you right now because your mind space isn't even fully enthralled in being who you need to be to do those things. Like you're going to start doing those things and you're going to get burnt out and you're going to stop and you're not going to
Right.
complete the journey. And it's like, I want you to complete the journey. And because I care and I want you to complete the journey, I was like, I need you to do this foundational work to help you really get grounded in your gravitas. That's even like whether you're a speaker, a leader, a business person, it doesn't matter. You have to get grounded in the gravitas, that confidence juice, right? That you need to take on a regular basis because if you don't take that, you're not going to do it. You're not going to have any long-standing game in the thing that you want
Mm.
to pursue.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. And especially, this whole telling people, because then that gives people an accountability aspect to
Mm-hmm.
keeping you on the straight and narrow. Because you can imagine you're at a cookout, you've been telling people you're vegan, and there you are with a piece of chicken, you know what I mean? And they're like, sorry, I thought you were in 90% at least, where's how. So it's things like that, and it can help with so many other maybe habits that you might be wanting to, just maybe help yourself to stop drinking or stop yelling or
Yeah.
stop speaking in a different way or
Mm-hmm.
smoking or whatever it is. And if you start telling people, I am not this kind of person, from what you're
Yeah.
saying, it actually then, puts you straight in the fact that, oh, I thought you said you're not smoking anymore. And you're like, but,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was just the last one.
You know what? And I love what you just said because when you say you're not smoking anymore, and so I actually tell people don't say that. Like I was, who do you want to be? If you're not smoking, what are you? Like literally tap
Mm.
into who you are. Like stop talking about the things you don't want to do. I just coached somebody yesterday on that. Like they were really angst about just how their schedule was set. And they were like, oh, I have all these things I got to do and I'm just really stressed about it. I'm like, well, what's giving you angst? So it's about the question, what's giving you angst? And they're like, oh, well, I'm having a lot of angst because I have all these things to do and I'm worried about if I'm going to get it done. I'm worried about if I can be focused enough. I'm worried about if I'm going to slack off. And I'm like, well, if you don't want to worry about not slacking, what do you need to do? Like, what's the opposite of like not slacking? What's the opposite of not getting in your way? And he was like, well, being focused. I said, well, focus on being focused. Like, focus on being focused. That's it. We don't have to do,
Mm.
I said, everything else will follow what you decide to be. So you don't have to worry about, I don't want this. And we are so scripted as human beings to say what we don't want that we don't know what we do want. And if we don't know what we do want, we won't know who we need to be. Does this make sense?
Right. Okay. So humor me with this now, Desiree.
Yeah.
Obviously, growing up, we grew up watching a lot of American TV, and when somebody starts drinking a lot, they end up becoming an alcoholic. And at the
Absolutely.
end of it, they go to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and the
Mm-hmm.
first thing they're asked to say is, "Hi, I'm blah 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 and I am a blah blah blah." So that literally is solidifying that in their head. So does that mean that process and method and way doesn't actually help when it's actually meant to be helping the person? Because every time they're going to that place, I didn't say those words specifically because I've got a couple
Yeah.
of whiskeys in my living room. I don't want my brain to think, "Oh, you said so, so let's take action on
Let's
that."
go for it. You know what? I think it's twofold. So I think I'm not aware of the entire Alcoholic Anonymous process because I actually do know people that have gone through it and have been very successful in getting, clean, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And then I've seen, people relapse. So it's hard for me to know because I don't know the entire process. But what I will say that I think that there is a part of that that is freeing when people can be aware of where they are. So I don't shame people for saying who they are or what they've been doing right now because I do think that there needs to be a sense of awareness. And so like when there's freedom in awareness, a friend of mine, she says self-awareness is not self-abuse. And so I don't have to beat myself up because I'm aware where I am. So what I believe from what you said and all I know of that process and people saying I am such and such and I'm an alcoholic, or I think it is more of just accepting that this is where I am right now. I think that there is power in doing that actually. I will
Hmm.
also say that I wonder in the process at what point do they start telling themselves I'm a new person now? Because I do
Hmm.
know people that have been in that process that have found it to be very freeing, but I've also seen people in that process that have been successful struggle with seeing themselves as this new person because they've been associating themselves with someone that has disappointed their friends and family that hasn't always followed through because of that addiction and they can see themselves only through the lens of that. But again, I don't know their whole process to be able to vet it, but I do think that there is power in acknowledging, where you are. Cause I do think acknowledging, like, okay, I've been all over the place. Like even when this person, and I've been, talking to them for a while, when they said that, like I'm all over the place, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, okay, cool. Like, that. Okay, what do you want to see? Because they still tell me where they are. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. You need to acknowledge where you are, but at some point, there has to be a shift.
So
At some point.
with what you're saying, if you can name it, you can tame it.
Yeah, you can name it, you can tame it. Yep.
Absolutely, because so many people are just going on with stuff. Like we say,
Mhm.
like fish in the water, they don't see what's happening up until they see a hook in front of them and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. So I'm in some
Yeah.
environment that supports this dangling thing, but what is it?" Before they know
Yeah.
it, it's probably not the best sort of setup and things like that. I know we've gone on and talked about so many things here.
I know.
Well, that's the power of working with people that are confident in their message and things of that nature. What would be the first sort of thing that people can do to get started on their journey with you there, Desiree?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm very present on LinkedIn. That's my happy place. So people can definitely message me on LinkedIn, DM me on LinkedIn, and have the opportunity to book a call with me and we can see how things go. Or we can definitely message in the DMs to just really vet, am I the best person to work with them? Because I'm really good at seeing that, hey, if I'm the person that can work with you, then let's do it. And if not, I love to refer people to people that would be a better fit for them because a lot of the work that I do is not just mindset, but it's skill set. And a lot of the skill set that I help people with is navigating their energy and their boundaries, as well as being able to use their voice. Using their voice is one of the top things that I work with people with, whether they're leaders or entrepreneurs. 100% of them all want to be better at articulating their value to people and articulating what it is that they desire when they're leaders, that they want to convey to their higher ups or convey to their culture. And so I'm literally working with people on what to say to people and how to articulate themselves. And so that's the skill set that I work with those that I work with, no matter who they are. And so a lot of times I'm really needing to know like what's the end goal that people have, and that helps me know if it makes sense for them to work with me. But definitely LinkedIn is the best journey. And but if people want to stalk me a little bit, they can look on my website. And my website is www.desireecocroft.com. And so they can, kick it to me there just so they can see a little bit about myself. But they can also vet me on LinkedIn. That's the best place to reach out to me.
Absolutely, and that's where we connected. And I love
It is.
your journey on there so far. So I'll definitely direct people to those links, and also add the links to your website so that people can obviously catch you. But speaking of catching you, you've co-founded a signature dance company, right? Where
Yes.
you're mentoring young women. So I'm hoping people will be able to catch you at least in
Yes.
between flights and in between dances.
Yeah, they will. And that's a story in and of itself. So that'll be a whole nother hour, Prosper. I, the short end of it, it was one thing that I didn't know would become a legitimate business. That's what me and my co-founders call it. We were like, we didn't know we were gonna be making a legitimate business just because we decided to do something that excited us. And it started off with 5 women, and it became something that has grown to supporting hundreds, if not thousands, of women over the last 20 years in dance and in the community. And so it's been a journey. And so I really love that part of my life. And another fun fact is I started off dancing as a kid, but I didn't go into formal training until I was in my late 20s. And so I love when people want to have like that career change or that shift. It's like it doesn't matter when you want to do it, you can just go do it.
Absolutely. I quite like that. Now, Desiree, I don't know if you know this, but representation matters. I mean, you've
Mhm.
been placed in, or you've been featured in prestigious platforms like Forbes, TEDx. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if you understand what that does for people that see you in those particular spaces, and
Yeah.
are probably that 17-year-old you that are thinking one day that is definitely going to be me. Not one
Yeah.
day, maybe in a couple of days. Like you said, you still are 17, right? So
I am.
how has this visibility sort of affected your career and the opportunities that you've been able to get, and maybe the impact that is having on other people?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can actually speak specifically from being a person of color. It has been something that has helped me be able to see myself in other spaces when I didn't think those spaces would ever see someone like me in it. And so I know that I've seen other people do it that look like me, and that has been motivational for me to even know it was possible. But I know that me being in that space has actually helped those that I work with and those that I mentor see it as possible for them to be in those spaces. And it has actually helped me a lot as a result to have that visibility because people have booked me on speaking opportunities, whether it's podcasts or keynotes. And some people have decided to work with me as a result of the work that I've done with TEDx or the work that I've been able to have with Forbes. And so being able to have platforms like that, I think I know nothing short of amazing and how it can really enhance your career. And honestly, it was really networking that got me there. When it came to Forbes, it was because I met someone in some group, this business group I was in, that was able to help pitch me to Forbes because I would not have even known how to do that on my own. And then when it came to TEDx, this is when we were on lockdown. I met someone in like this networking group and they said, hey, there's a group that's looking for people for TEDx talks. Like you should join the group. So networking is a really big thing, being able to make sure you're in spaces and places where you're open, again, starting that rumor about yourself. I was telling people I wanted to do a TED talk. I wanted to do a TED talk. I wanted to do a TEDx talk. And the more I said it, I was opening doors for people to say, hey, check this out, do this, right? And the same thing with Forbes and other publications wanting to amplify who I was in publications. And that is what led me to meet those people. So start being loud about what it is that you want so that you can start attracting people around you to help you get it.
Absolutely. And I mean, for those that have had kids, you would notice that kids don't shut up until they get what they want. And we haven't lost being kids, and you end up just
Yeah.
giving them whatever, just so that they are quiet. So if we can just adopt that attitude, obviously not in an annoying manner, but in a way that we're providing value to other people, we can literally be on stages and places like what Desiree is mentioning there. Now, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent today, and obviously we've gone full circle. I mean, obviously from the time you were 17 up until now when you're 17, um you know so if you would say, maybe knowing what you know now about the life you've lived and who you were going to become, if you would have been one of the teachers that was the one that tapped you on the shoulder at the age of 17, what would you say to that young girl and why?
Oh, I love that question. What I know now is that anything that you really desire is possible. And I think that I had this thought of possibility then, and I still carry that love of being able to see what you want to happen. I think that what stopped me in some places from that childhood or teenage life to adulthood, I think I could have accelerated my growth had I believed that nobody had anything different than what I have. And I think that that is a big one. I think that we can see where people are and we think that they have something different, whether it's a piece of information or a different following or a different group of people that they know, and that's their X factor. But honestly, we all really have that X factor. And I think that even in recent years, I'm coming to the knowledge of we all really have that X factor. They may have had a person, but you have X. You have something too, right? You have something that can get you to that place of possibility. And so I would just encourage people to know that you have an X factor. It may not look like somebody else's, but everybody has that X factor that can help them get to where they desire to go. And you don't have to sit and wallow in what you think somebody else has. And that's the thing that you need because you don't need it. Because there is a story for everything that you think you need. There's a story for someone that didn't have it and still got it. And that's always
Mm.
amazing to me. It's always someone, I didn't go to school and I didn't go to university and I did X, Y, and Z. And it's like, so why are we out here trying to get 1,000 certifications? Or it's some people that have done all those things and they got X, Y. It's always going to be a story of someone that had it or didn't have it. So my question is, what is your excuse? Stop advocating for your excuses.
Because excuses only sound best to the person that's saying them.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Funny. I love that.
Yeah. Well, no, I can't thank you enough, Desiree, for the time that we spent on the call today. And I think you have, gathered a few fans and people that want to lead with you
Yeah.
on the way to the next stage. What can people expect? What's next? What's in store for the future?
Yeah, so I'm doing way more keynotes. That is what's in store for the future. I do a lot of leadership training, which I do enjoy doing leadership trainings, but I really enjoy keynote speaking. And so they can expect to see me on more stages, more stages in different events and such. They can also see me do more international stages. So I have done some speaking in Canada. That's been my international stage so far, but I definitely want to do some things in the UK and beyond. So I'm looking forward for more international stages. And I'm doing some more work with corporations where I'm coming out with a piece of content that can help leaders in their organizations get better at communicating well with each other, because that's like a really big thing. And as a result of communicating well with each other, I always set mindset work in there, obviously, because I can't help it. And so I really want to help people be better at communicating who they are, how they feel, and how they can have really strong ways of communicating their courageousness, their confidence, their authority, and boldness in spaces. And so people can expect more material from me in that way, and doing work to help people amplify their voice. So that's going to be something that I'm looking forward to doing.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to cheerlead you all the way. And you've already done yet another international stage. This is an Australian stage, so
Yes,
you know,
I
at this
appreciate it.
at this rate, we're gonna be asking for an autograph. Okay, so
I'll be ready to give it. I'll be ready to give it. I'll work
absolutely.
on it.
Great stuff. Now, Desiree, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and insights with us today. I mean, your life story and your experience are all truly inspiring, and I'm sure our viewers have actually gained a lot from this conversation.
Good. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a great joy to do it today.
Absolutely. And for those that are watching right now, don't forget to check out Desiree's offerings and also her book. And, just check out where her next event is going to be. As she has said, she's going to go international. Just check your local listings. And
Yes.
if you don't see her listed in your favorite places, then you need to find out from your event producers why they haven't got Desiree Cocroft as a leading star in this space of self mastery. Now, thank you so much for those that are watching right now. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to rewatch it. I know there was a lot of snippets that you might have just skipped over, but there's so many nuggets that people like yourself would actually enjoy if you actually put this into action. And if you feel like this is not quite yours yet, share it with a friend who might be looking for ways to master their own self and actually get a swing of some of this confidence juice that is sprinkled all over the episode today. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Online Prosperity Show for more insightful content like this. Until next time, keep thriving and stay prosperous. Bye for now.
I am Desiree Cocroft, CEO of Destination Life, and I am your life and leadership executive coach, ready to help you fulfill your fullest potential. I love helping leaders and high achievers make sure that they show up bold in their professional and their personal life. Use me to come speak to you, your team, or your organization so that you can get better results, more impact, more influence, and definitely more joy.